Losses are getting tough. The Toronto Raptors lose again, this time to the Orlando Magic without Paolo Banchero, without Franz Wagner, without Mo Wagner, and they lose Jalen Suggs in the first half. And if you felt that that was enough of a cushion for the Toronto Raptors, they did have Emmanuel quickly back for the second straight game. They did have a healthy bench for the most part. I mean, Jonathan Mobo and Jamison Battle, who I think would have been really helpful tonight, were on G League assignment. But overall, this team just does not know how to win. They don't know how to win, and it is their defense that is the problem. They overhelp, they under rotate, they miss assignments, they're terrible in transition, they do not communicate, and whenever Kelly Olynyk comes onto the court, the defense falls off a cliff. And the Raptors have been a bad defense all year long. It gets to another level of embarrassing when Kelly Olynyk is on the court, especially when he's sharing the court with another defender. That's bad. And they just put him in ball screens all day, right? It's like Grady, Kelly, Grady, Jakob, and sometimes it's just like this very aggressive style of, trying to like chase out to like 35 feet for a non-shooter. I don't get it personally. It's it's ethical tanking because it looks like you're trying, but you're doing the wrong thing. I hope these habits will be easy to break next year. The Toronto Raptors, a lot of talk around Raptorland over the last 48 hours has been Emmanuel Quickly, right? Emmanuel Quickly is a point guard. Emmanuel Quickly is the answer. Emmanuel Quickly is the solution. Emmanuel Quickly is God. Now, I love Emmanuel Quickly, but my biggest worry when I saw what the media was doing with Emmanuel Quickly over the last 48 hours is when he comes back down to earth and has a game like tonight, I hope they don't crucify him. I hope they don't do what they always do, which is they gas people up and then they tear them down and then and then the overpaid stuff starts. I don't think Emmanuel Quickly is necessarily built for the type of usage that he's holding on right now. And that's okay because he's 25 years old and he can get a lot better. He did not shoot well tonight. Grady did not shoot well tonight. I think Scottie had a pretty okay game, but I think he needed to assert himself more. He went multiple possessions in the first quarter without even touching the basketball. He's just kind of jogging around, doing a little bit of stuff. I had a big issue with the broadcast today. A lot of Scottie calling out, and I hate how this works because it's like what's good for the goose is not good for the gander. Like, can we get a consistent standard? Is it okay to complain about a call, or is it not okay to complain about a call? Is it okay to miss an offensive rebound, or is it not okay to miss an offensive rebound? If you're going to say that Scottie Barnes is getting beat by Jonathan Isaac on an offensive rebound in which he gets pushed, fouled on the first one, and the second one he just gets beat by a 7-footer with a 7'7" wingspan. If you're going to say that that's a problem, then I need you to keep that consistent. I need you to say it when Bruce Brown does it. I need you to say it when Grady does it. I need you to say it when Jakob does it and Kelly does it, because the Raptors get beat for a lot of offensive rebounds. This is nothing new. When someone is late for a rotation and they don't make it out to their rotation, then I need you to call it out when everyone does it, right? Especially your better defenders, especially your more experienced players. When Fred VanVleet complains about when Fred VanVleet complains about a no call, I don't want to hear that's good leadership. You need that from your leader. And then when Scottie Barnes does it, I don't want to hear that's bad body language. I don't want that. I want you to keep it consistent. Is either complaining is okay or it's not okay. I don't want this to yeah. Happy birthday, Jack Armstrong. Retire, okay? Just retire, bro. Like you're washed. You make me want to watch this entire game on mute. Okay, let's take a look at what happened tonight. This is not good. Obviously, it's not good. The Orlando Magic are a young team. They're a team that played a lot of rookies tonight, and one of those rookies, well, not a lot of rookies and second-year players. You had Anthony Black was out. I think that was somewhat omitted when we were talking about the injuries and all the players that the Orlando Magic are missing. Anthony Black is a hell of a player. He's a top 6 player. A top 6 pick. He is a really good player. He's a really good defender, and guarantee if he was healthy tonight, he's probably playing around 36 minutes. And he was not healthy tonight. He was in street clothes. Paolo was in street clothes. Franz was in street clothes. And this is just one of those things, man. This Magic team is impressive because Jamal Mosley has his team plugged in. They're dialed in. They're going for it now, And when your organization is basically signaling to your whole roster, we're going for it right now. We got a taste of the playoffs last year. We're going for it right now. We're not making excuses. Your team comes out with something to play for. The Orlando Magic have something to play for. They're playing for home court advantage in the playoffs, and they're holding on to it tightly, right? With teams like New York right behind them, nipping at their heels. So you have a team like that, and they're weathering the injuries to their All Star Paolo, and then their what would have been an All Star season this year from Franz Wagner. Give me one second. I got to clear my throat here. I know that I'm very pro tank, but I actually spent quite a bit of time today screaming at the television. That was nuts. Like some of these rotations were insane. We're gonna take a look at it, but give me one sec here. This is not good. Okay, that should be better. Okay, off the bench. I mean, they lost their minutes with Jet Howard. I mean, Jet Howard has not worked out well for them. He did not look great tonight at all. Defensively, offensively, just didn't look great. But one player who did look great was their rookie Tristan Da Silva, who lit the Raptors up. But you know what? Can't even tell if they lit him up. He was guarding Scottie Barnes one on one, and he is not capable of guarding Scottie one on one. That was actually very disappointing to see how Scottie was not more assertive in that matchup. 19 shots for Scottie tonight. Honestly, I would have been perfectly fine with him taking 30 shots tonight. I don't think that he took enough shots. One player who got a healthy diet of shots and a very, very easy diet of shots was Jakob Poeltl, and he made everything around the rim. Magic don't have a lot of rim protection right now. Jonathan Isaac is probably their best rim protector. He only played 13 minutes. Obviously, they're trying to preserve him in case there's a trade or something that comes about. So Jakob Poeltl just had an easy time. Honestly, the Raptors overcomplicated everything tonight. They really didn't need to make it so complicated. And I think players like Ochai, who have been coming down to earth a little bit lately, had a decent bounce back game from the efficiency standpoint, 15 points. But yeah, Emmanuel quickly struggled for the second straight game, significantly below 500 in terms of, that shooting percentage, 50%, 11 points, 11 assists, 3 turnovers. Most of those were in the first half. He does finish with, he ties Kelly Olynyk with team best +1. But overall, I think Emmanuel quickly just did too much. I think he got caught with, he just got caught with the ball a little bit in an awkward situation. Felt like kind of made up his mind. And then when the gap closed, suddenly he's kind of like, okay, now what do I do? He's not mapping the court very well. This has been my biggest issue with Emmanuel quickly going back to college, going back to Kentucky. I don't think that he gets advantages as well as some people think he does. I mean, this is not a Tyrese Maxey level burst athlete where he can just get to the front of the rim, or someone like De'Aaron Fox or John Morant, where it's like, okay, blow by, blow by, blow by, and he's just right to the front of the rim. No, he does need some help. He does need some assistance, but he can shoot. Tonight he couldn't shoot, so it looked worse. But if he and Grady make their shots, just shooting season averages, if those guys shoot their season average, this is a really close game. I'll also say this game shouldn't have been as close down the stretch as it was. The Raptors ended up losing by 9. They probably should have lost this game by 20, if I'm being honest, with the way they were playing. But in the fourth quarter, Scottie comes up really huge. He scores 8 points, back-to-back threes, plus that very nifty move on Jonathan Isaac to start the fourth quarter. And, it's tough, right? Because you see him do that and you're like, why can't you do more of that, man? Why can't you just be more assertive? Why can't you just take it more on yourself? There were a couple times in this game where Scottie just sort of dialed it up, right? End of the second quarter, he sort of dialed it up. One of my biggest issues with this game was just overall the basketball IQ of this team is low. Sometimes they do some really dumb things, and I understand that there's scheme and they're trying to work things out and they're trying to put guys in positions to do uncomfortable things. But taking a shot with you have 21 seconds left on the clock, 21 seconds left in the quarter, you take a shot with 4 seconds, 5 seconds left on the clock, you're leaving an open. You're leaving an opening for the other team to score. Why do that? I've never seen a team do that. I have never at any level of basketball seen a team that did that unless it was an open layup. These were not open layups. These were threes. They were taking threes and midi pull-ups. I mean, Emmanuel quickly at the end of the second quarter, that terrible play where it's a little bit of a broken play. Emmanuel quickly steps into it. He hits a three, his only three, and then he does his little skip, and then Goga Bataze goes down the other end, and then IQ is the first guy somehow. How the hell was IQ the first guy? He was skipping. He's the guy who hit the shot. How is nobody else back? Right? That is just crazy to me. And the Raptors foul, they challenge, they lose. It's crazy stuff like that. If you look at the team stats tonight, I mean, this is not a good shooting team. So I understand the philosophy of leaving them somewhat, forcing them to beat you from three. And they're not going to shoot 43% on most nights. But tonight they were so comfortable. Everyone got going. Jalen Suggs, before he got injured, he was going, right? They shoot 43% from three on decently high volume. You shoot 35% from three on lower volume. You shoot better from them than better than them from the field. They're just not a good half court team. They're not a good half court offensive team. Like, they rely on Paolo and Franz to do so much heavy lifting for their offense. And in the second half, it was just Cole Anthony, Tristan da Silva, spread pick and roll, boom. It's just too easy. Okay, the Raptors failed to get to their 28 assist mark, but 30 assist mark, but honestly, a lot of that just had to do with the fact that they missed a lot of shots. Okay, the largest lead of the night for the Raptors was very early in the game. They were up by 3. The Magic led pretty much from the second quarter on wire to wire. If we look at this game cast, it was pretty much in the first quarter. The Raptors didn't lead after the first quarter, and they tied it. They kind of made it a little bit closer towards the end due to something else that I have an issue with, and we'll look at that in the film breakdown as well. I need something better from my vets. But overall, this is not the type of game you need at home right now. You got a home crowd. They're excited about this Nets win. I think you needed to just give them a better effort tonight. And I don't think you did. I don't think this was it. Right. And it's a tough one. Right. The Raptors do limit their turnovers to some extent. I mean, this is a team that had 31 turnovers a few games ago. So 11 is decent. But yeah, there's just a lot of ball stopping here, happening for the Raptors. Let's take a look at the film breakdown. I mean, honestly, this is not going to be a super duper long live. If you want to call in, definitely call in. We can have a discussion about this. But yeah, this is just not one of those games that you walk into and you're like, you know what? I can't wait to talk about this game. No, this is not one of those games. Okay, so some more good process from Scottie Barnes, right? You see an undersized Corey Joseph who killed the Raptors, ex-Raptor, from 3 tonight. But you see Scottie on Corey Joseph in the post. You got to go for it, right? This was my post about Jack Armstrong getting some little decent traction. I genuinely agree. Okay, this defense. What are we doing here? Okay, this is Caleb Houston, former, Montverde Eagle, former teammate of Scottie Barnes in high school. Caleb's awesome. I actually was a really big fan of his coming into the draft, and I believe he came out in the Christian Koloko draft, and I was very high on him. But the Magic did grab him, and I like him, overall. How do you go away from this? Like, this is crazy. Like, you can't get shifted this much. I mean, I understand KCP is a really good 3-point shooter. Sorry, that was Tristan da Silva. I apologize. Tristan da Silva. I mean, da Silva, this guy is just a shooter. He was a shooter at Colorado. You got to know the scouting report. You're Davion Mitchell. I'm sure you do know the scouting report. You got 2 shooters in the corner, and Davion's gapping both of them. And I mean, it does come down to why is Grady so late coming back? I mean, can we take a look at why Grady is so late coming back? Why are you just jogging back nonchalantly? And why are you not noticing? Why are you not mapping the court? Why are you sprinting towards the paint? At the very least, be able to give Tristan da Silva something in his periphery to worry about, right? If you see Davion Mitchell is stuck in a corner guarding 2 players, how are you, as Grady Dick, how are your defensive instincts so poor that you're jogging to the middle? You're not a center. Okay, now this one, this was to end the half. Right, Emmanuel quickly does hit that 3, big shot from Ochai Agbaji, right? Goga is late, and he's happy, but you'll notice there's 3 seconds left on the clock, and Goga is smart, and KCP is smart as well, and they pass it out, and Goga gets to the basket, and Emmanuel quickly gives up a foul. Tough, really tough. Okay, now to the Scottie has no bag. I'm not going to hype up too much, one-on-one against Tristan da Silva. I don't really rate da Silva's defense that much. They decided to go one-on-one against Scottie Barnes here, and he just made him pay, right? Made him pay. Again, this is a second quarter. Just to end the second quarter, Scottie did not have like a very dominant first half. He was kind of like playing timidly off the ball a little bit, kind of letting his teammates find the flow. But as his team got into a bigger hole, he was like, okay, I guess it's on me. And he started initiating possessions a little bit more, bringing the ball up a little bit more by himself. And here you see Emmanuel quickly sort of spacing off the ball to provide that wider angle to drive for Scottie Barnes. And here, he's just going to, boom, hit that step back on Contavious Caldwell-Pope. I think it's really important that he get really comfortable doing that. Okay. Here, great pass from Scottie, gets into the middle of the floor. This is to start the third quarter. Finds Bruce Brown. Grady Dick. I'm pretty sure Grady Dick started the third quarter, but he got the quickest hook, and it was largely due to his defense. And boom, nice little secondary play for nice little connective pass for Bruce Brown there. And then, we have this play, which unfortunately I clipped it a little bit late, but you'll see Emmanuel Quickley here. He's about to pass to Scottie Barnes, who's not looking. And right here, you can't do this. You just can't do this. And if you're Scottie Barnes, like, wake the hell up, right? Like that too, right? Like you gotta know where the basketball is. It just felt like the Raptors were sleepwalking today, man. It's just way too often. There were miscommunications. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of communication going on defensively. It feels like everyone's kind of doing their own thing, and it's just not good. And I mean this when I say this defense could not slow down a G League team. Let's look at some of this defense, because it is like, it's bad. This is Corey Joseph. Nobody's idea of a great shooter, so I don't mind you going under. But you can't just give up an open driving lane like this. And now, if you're Grady, you've got to tag. You've got to stop Goga Batadze here. Like, Jakob Poeltl has helped you. You have to now recover onto him. And he just gambles and pays. How do you gamble twice? Like, what is, like, how, like, why is, like, it's just gamble with Grady, I know he's a young player. I know he's 20, 21 years old. I don't care. This is just bad basketball. Gamble. And it's a foul too, by the way. So it's just like, why? And if you're Jakob Poeltl, you're like, damn, if I help, no one's helping me. And speaking of gambling, here's Ochai Agbaji doing the same goddamn thing. Now, Jamal Shed, pretty positionally sound defense there. Now here, Ochai Agbaji thinks, I got it. Except you don't got it. And Tristan Da Silva doing the smart thing here. Let me guess. He's going to pass to Goga Batadze, right? Now, if you're Jakob Poeltl, you can't allow this. Is Jakob Poeltl even going to put his arm up? No, he's not. If I had $1 for every time Jakob Poeltl put his arms above his head today, I would have $2, because he just didn't. You got to be active, man. They preach what, eagle. We used to preach eagle hands, high hands, whatever. And you got to be active. Like, if you just put a hand up, that pass is hard. But if you just stand there, that pass is easy. And Goga's going right behind you. No resistance from Jakob Poeltl. This was the 10th or 9th three that Emmanuel Quickley missed tonight, just front rim. Honestly, he's coming back from it. Just give him some time, man. He's going to hit some of these threes. I said, it's nice having a franchise player who can actually hit shots in the fourth quarter. That was a little bit of a dig at previous franchise players who couldn't. Okay, here we go. Here's another one. Unfortunately, I jinxed it, because this would be the last of Scottie scoring in the fourth quarter. I think he might have scored 2 more from here, but yeah, that was pretty much it. I was expecting like a 25-point fourth quarter or something like that from him. It just did not happen. Here, this one, just another way of looking at this, gets Jonathan Isaac to bite. That's a really good defender. I would argue Jonathan Isaac might be the best defender in the NBA. Pound for pound, I think he's the best defender in the NBA. And here, once again, takes him off the 3. And this one, Wendell Carter plays off a little bit, and boom. Right? I say this is a nice pass. This was a nice pass. Goga just does not recover, kind of gives you that Jakob Poeltl special on defense. Doesn't recover there. Okay, some more bad defense. Let's take a look at this. My goodness. So here, Davion Mitchell is trailing Cole Anthony here. Got lost on that Goga screen. Jakob Poeltl has to close this drive off. And then someone has to stop Goga Batadze. Instead, they're going to do none of that. Because right now, if Cole Anthony had been stopped, Goga is open. So you stopped nobody. You have two defenders who stopped absolutely nobody here. And once again, does Jakob Poeltl even care? Does he put his arms up? Does he contest this? Should somebody care that Goga is wide open right now? Because I'll guarantee you, if Cole Anthony decides to spring up, and Cole Anthony is a very vertical athlete, he's a very springy athlete, so he can get up into this, into these finishes, and that's a really important part of finishing in the paint. Is you sometimes need to just get that couple inches of separation. If he decided to whip this pass to Goga Batadze, who's stopping Goga? If he decided to whip this out to Tristan da Silva, is Emmanuel quickly going to recover? Literally everyone is open and nobody is covered. How? How do you have five defenders doing absolutely nothing as a player? The only really good dynamic player on the court is just getting to the front of the rim. And this is, again, 3 minutes and 28 seconds to go. You're down 12. Like, I'm not saying you could have won this game. I'm just saying at this point, if you're not even trying to win this game, why even show up? Why is Jonathan Mobo down in the G League? Just let Jonathan Mobo have these minutes, man. He's not letting that happen. Now here, with 11 seconds to go, I have a really big issue with this play. I used to hate when Delano Banton used to do this. I still hate when Delano Banton does this. I don't care about your sports betting, your parlays, all that stuff. That shit is irrelevant to me. You know, whether you had a +9, +8, that stuff doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that the other team took a turnover on a shot clock violation and did the right thing. And here, the Toronto Raptors with Emmanuel Quickly and Jakob Poeltl. I don't know what Jakob Poeltl trying to get his fucking 25 points. I don't care about your fucking 25 points. The other team took a turnover. You dribble it out. That's good sportsmanship. This is clown behavior. And salute to the Orlando Magic. I have a lot of admiration for this team. A lot of admiration for this team because they could have done the petty thing right now and then jacked up a three, but they didn't. Okay, KCP decides to keep it above the belt, and for the Raptors to pull off a Bush League move like that is just it is honestly embarrassing. It is hard to stand up with your chest high and say this is why like I'm a Raptor fan, I'm excited about this or whatever. Like I'm sorry, what am I trying to say here? It's hard to defend shit like that because it's so goddamn Bush League. It's so Bush League. Games like this honestly take like hours off your life. Okay. This was not fun. This is not fun. It wasn't fun from an effort perspective. It wasn't fun from a process perspective. It wasn't fun, from the Jacoby went off for 30 perspective. Like, this is basketball entertainment. This is not just basketball. This is basketball entertainment. Okay. And there's just certain losses you can't take. There's certain losses you can. When you do it on the road, nobody cares. It's for the other crowd. But for this crowd to come out and support this team, and for this team, I didn't hear boos. I heard fans chanting, "Let's go Raptors" during the fourth when we were down 12 and they tried to give their players a boost and they fumble again. Yeah, I'm not blaming the fans here. I'm not blaming the fans. I'm saying it's on the players at this point. You can't be this sorry. You cannot be this sorry. This just keeps happening. Yeah. I mean, credit to Scottie Barnes. He tried. There were a couple of times. I still feel like he is not moving right. If you take a look at some of the moves in this little highlight clip that I made that I put together, where it's basically outlining Scottie Barnes has no bag according to the clowns. I mean, you can see that he's moving very differently in these clips than he's moving right now. I mean, look at how shifty and flexible he feels on that move. We haven't seen this version of Scottie in a really long time. We saw this version of Scottie against Denver prior to that injury. Okay. We've seen spurts of it with Goggles Scottie. Since he's come back from that injury, he has been very ground bound, extremely. He even missed a dunk tonight. If you want any evidence, I can't remember how many. I think I've watched Scottie miss 2 dunks in his whole life. This is not a guy who misses dunks. He just missed. He blew an open dunk tonight. It's just not normal. Key M saying Scottie in the short mid range is amazing. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is what happens since Daniel Franklin. This is what happens when you give minutes to Brown, 23 million down the drain. Well, don't compound a bad problem by making it a worse problem, taking on extra salary. Clearly, I think that the Raptors have talented players. I mean, objectively, I can look at a player like Bruce Brown and say, well, if he was playing for the Orlando Magic tonight, he's certainly a massive upgrade over Corey Joseph. You know, he's a massive upgrade over Jet Howard as a rotation piece, right? He could be a finishing piece, but he's more of like like a 10th, ninth, 8th guy. The Raptors have a lot of 10th, ninth, 8th guys. I don't think we saw Chris Boucher tonight. Am I wrong? Am I crazy? We didn't see Chris Boucher tonight, did we? I'm inclined to say we didn't. No, we probably did. So, I mean, tough, right? Like, not no Chris Boucher. Did we see Chris Boucher tonight? Yeah, am I losing my mind? No, Chris Boucher, DMPCD. Jonathan Mobo, G League. Jameson Battle, G League. Okay. Davion Mitchell was all right. I think he was all right. I mean, I think they're just exhibiting players at this point. I think that's really it. Troy Knight saying, I saw Chris. See, me too. I had a moment where I was like, did Chris play? And I'm like, no, I don't remember any ill-advised mid-range shots which were crazy. But no, Chris Boucher did not play. And in a game like this where you lacked energy, maybe. I just it's hard to say anything overly positive about this game. There were a couple of stretches in this game, end of the second quarter, where you felt a little bit of a momentum shift where Scottie's just like, okay, I'm gonna put it on my shoulders and I'm just gonna carry this team. But right now he can't. He just can't. He doesn't have the burst right now. He isn't getting downhill enough. I don't think the shots that he's generating are clean enough. Right. So if he's nursing this, I would just shut him down for a week. Now, the good news is the Raptors do have 2 days off. They will not play a game until Monday against the Bucks, at which point you are up against Giannis, and I believe you are back at home on Monday. So, yeah. I mean, what's coming up here? Yeah, you got the Bucks at home, and that's your last home game for a while until January 13th when you come back home and face the Warriors and the Celtics. I mean, we're talking about another 5-game losing streak or 6-game losing streak here because Orlando and Brooklyn were the winnable games here. A depleted Orlando team and a completely gutted Brooklyn team. And I mean, Brooklyn ended up beating Milwaukee last night, if I'm not mistaken. So, because they had Cam Thomas back coming off the bench. But I mean, Milwaukee is not just about to come in here and gift you a victory. You're going to have to take it from them. You're not going to go into New York or Cleveland or Detroit, frankly, and just you're not just going to take a win from these guys, right? I think the Detroit game is winnable in theory. But I mean, it's good for the tank. I could certainly say it's good for the tank. Stephen Liu saying, Rob, would you trade RJ, Bruce, and oh God. Oh no. Oh Lord. Are we here? Are we here now? Big Jimmy Butler news. Let's talk about it. Jimmy Butler has been suspended by the Orlando Magic. Sorry, by the Miami Heat. Tough what's been going on. He has not been playing well. The shot attempts have been majorly down. The Heat have suspended Jimmy for 7 games. He wants to be traded. Talked yesterday about, yesterday, the day before, to the media about wanting to find his joy for basketball. And you all wonder why the league is so cooked right now. Now, I understand that it's okay for a player to talk about that and to have that idea that, hey, I'm really not having a lot of fun playing basketball and I would like my joy back. I get that. Pat Riley was very dismissive of Jimmy Butler. I don't think that they've taken care of his contract. It's turning very, very ugly. And at this point, the Heat are not willing to just give him up for nothing. It's just like a principle thing at this point where they're not going to give him up for scraps. However, they will lose him for nothing this offseason. 100%. They will lose him for nothing. So I think that the right move is probably Jimmy to the West. If they want to do the right thing, they're probably going to send Jimmy to Dallas, probably take back a pick center package. They're not getting Derek Lively for Jimmy Butler at this point. And possibly, possibly, we could be looking at Golden State as a sleeper. We could look at, I don't think OKC would bring him on. Where else could he go? Houston. He's from Houston. That could make some sense. But Toronto, dude, no. Okay. Hell to the hell no. If this was the start of the season, Cam Johnson, Jimmy Butler make a lot of sense. This is not the start of the season. I am not giving up a chance to Cooper Flag for 1 to 2 years of Jimmy Butler. And by the way, you're not getting Jimmy Butler for free. You're going to have to give up young assets to get him. He's not on your timeline. He's not going to be happy losing. Scottie and Jimmy actually have a lot in common. They hate losing. They don't deal well with losing. If you put Jimmy Butler in a losing situation, you will have a really, really, really big headache on your hands. I promise you that. Okay, we got a first caller, Luis Mavro. What's up, man? You're gonna have
Yo, Pen, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Another loss for the tank. That's good. I saw we were down to five, which is a bit concerning, but hopefully we can get back up to top three. Um,
Well,
yeah,
what is encouraging is that there's a really, really big gap, or at least a widening gap between 5 and 6.
yeah. I mean, Portland is still pretty sizable gap. 4 games behind us.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, we gotta get past Charlotte though. Hopefully Lamelo can come back and start going off.
Right.
But I mean, as far as tonight's game goes, like I'm starting to get a little bit concerned with Scotty starting to heat up just in the fourth. Like I'd like to see more consistency throughout 4 quarters of play. Um, and we've noticed this even before he was in the NBA. Like he has this thing where he doesn't really come alive until the fourth quarter. And I used to think it was a clutch gene, but I'm starting to think that maybe he's just not that engaged until the fourth quarter comes, and that could be a point of concern. So I like to take a deeper look at that going forward.
Hmm. I don't feel that that's really been a problem this year at all. I don't find that he's been overly clutch this year at all. I don't feel like he's saved big fourth quarters this year. That was more something that was a talking point in year two. He was much more engaged in the fourth quarter. But I mean, what are we talking about? I mean, I know there's stats for this that I could definitely point to, but yeah, I mean, can you point to another game where this has happened
I mean,
this
I mean
season?
tonight.
No, no, I'm not talking about tonight. Let's not try to use one game as a, you know, this is what's happening all the time. Can you think of another game this season?
I would have to go back. It just feels like it's a common occurrence though.
Yeah, see, I think this is why I hate the media the way that I do, because I'm going to tell you why you think it's a common occurrence. And you could tell me if I'm wrong, but this is why I think you think it's a common occurrence. Hang on one sec. Let me pull this up because I was literally looking at this today. Uh, it is it this? Hang on one sec. This. This is why I think that you think this is a common occurrence.
I mean, that could be a part of it. Um, it's just something I've come to expect over the past couple of years. But I mean, this could have definitely played a role. Like I'm not gonna deny that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I
I
mean,
mean,
like,
go
yeah,
ahead.
like overall, like there's no. I still believe in Scotty. I think it's a little bit unfair that we're expecting him to be a number one on a title team. You know, like because I'm talking like scoring wise. I don't think he has that sort of natural scoring inclination to be the number one scoring option. But I don't think you need to be the number one scoring option to be the best player on a championship team. But I mean,
Mhm.
if our front office thinks that he can be, that's fine. I just don't think it's a fair. And here's where I differ from people who say he can't be a number one. I think he can be the most important guy on a championship team, kind of like a Kyle Lowry. You mentioned Jimmy Butler type, that type of player. I just don't think he's the guy you go to give you 30, 35 a night. I don't think he'll ever get there.
Why does he have to be 35 a night? I don't think I've ever even thought of Scottie as a 35 point per game scorer. I have, however, in the past said that he could get up to a 30 point per game scorer for sure.
See, I don't even know if he has that in him because, I mean, he's actually regressed scoring wise this year.
He hasn't
Look,
at all.
he's averaging 20 this year, 20.4.
What did he average last year?
He was right around 20, so he
He was
hasn't really
19.
improved that much.
He was 19.9, and he's playing less minutes this year, so his numbers have gone up. This year, prior to his ankle injury, he was averaging 30 points per 100 possessions. That was the highest mark of his career, and he's shooting like dog shit from three. So, you say like if the three goes in, maybe he's averaging 33 points per 100 possessions, which is right in line with a lot of star players. It's not that far off at all. I'm not sitting here trying to say that he's some alpha scorer like Luka Doncic, but I'm saying like he doesn't need to be.
But like, can you name a NBA champion and Finals MVP that wasn't
I can name so many.
in recent years, in the last 10 years?
Andre Iguodala.
No, like you know what I'm saying. Like the best player on the team is usually they usually have some sort of offensive game.
Are you suggesting Scottie doesn't have an offensive game?
I don't think he has a go-to scoring game. No.
Okay.
He
So,
does in spurts.
Does
I don't think
RJ have a go-to scoring game?
I don't think RJ would be the guy either.
No,
'Cause
I'm
he
not
doesn't
saying
have
that's not what I asked. I said, do you think RJ has a go-to scoring game?
I think driving, yes, but in the playoffs he wouldn't because
So
he's fully relying on that.
would you say that RJ is a better finisher than Scottie Barnes?
Finish around the basket?
Yeah,
Yes.
you would, right?
Yes.
Good. I'm so glad you said that. Pay attention to your screen. The next part's going to be really painful. Okay. These are the best finishers in the league. Okay. You see a lot of stars here. Giannis Antetokounmpo. That shouldn't surprise you, right? Giannis is a great finisher, right? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, great finisher, right? If you scroll your eyes down, you see a lot of stars here. De'Aaron Fox, Anthony Davis. You see LeBron James, still Jason Tatum. Those are all the types of players you're talking about, right? Those are all the types of really great finishers. Then you have bigs like Zach Edey, Domantas Sabonis. That makes sense. Nikola Jokic. They're good. At 33, you have Scottie Barnes. He's ahead of Anthony Edwards, Zach LaVine, Brandon Ingram, Jalen Suggs. Okay. So that's the first graphic. Have you taken a look at it?
Yeah, I took a
Okay,
look.
perfect. Now get ready for the second one. These are the worst finishers in the league. Number 1 is Grady Dick. Scroll your eyes down to number 5. That's RJ Barrett. He's one of the 5 worst finishers in the league. There's Jonathan Mobo at 10. Jonathan Mobo surprises nobody here. He is one of the 5 worst finishers. I think he's a terrible finisher around the rim. And I think it will get better because Jonathan Mobo has a lot of advantages. But when we go based on our feelings and we don't look at the stats, like, okay, for instance, Scottie averaged 20 points per game. Let's split the difference on 19.9. You say he scores most of his points in the fourth quarter. How many points of his 20 points last year do you think he scored in the fourth quarter?
If I had to guess a percentage, I'd say maybe 30 to 40%.
No, how many points? Forget the percentages. How many points? He scored 20 in a game.
Yeah.
How many points is he scoring in the fourth quarter on average last year?
6 to 10.
I need a number.
Let's go with 9.
Go lower.
7.
Go lower.
5.
Go higher.
6.
Go lower. It's 5.9.
Okay.
So a player who scores 20 points per game, but scores 5.9 of them in the fourth quarter, certainly isn't a player who fits the narrative of a player who only scores in the fourth quarter, right? You would agree with that, right? That sounds crazy, right?
I would agree with that, yeah.
And superstars do tend to score a little bit more in the fourth quarter. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, you're expecting them to do that, yeah.
So if Scottie Barnes scores slightly more than 25% of his points in the most important quarter, that would make a little bit of sense, wouldn't it? It would actually be a little bit more concerning if he was scoring 3 points per game in the fourth quarter as opposed to 6, 5.9. That's my point. See, people get really angry at numbers because they defeat feelings. I have a feeling that Scottie doesn't score in the first half. Why? Because somebody like this fucking asshole right here told me he doesn't. And now, because he told me he doesn't, and it became a big media story, everybody's honing in on the game. And this game right here, tonight, this game where Scottie turned it up in the fourth quarter and scored 8 points, in 3 minutes, this game is going to stick out more than all the games where he scored 15 points in the first half. All those games, they don't matter. Our minds are so easily seduced by things that agree with what we already think. You probably didn't walk into the 2021 draft thinking Scottie could ever be an alpha scorer, right?
No, I don't think
Right.
anyone.
So now when he exhibits signs where he loses his handle, picks up his handle too soon, bricks the layup, airballs a three, it probably just kind of reaffirms that feeling of this can never be right. But when Emmanuel quickly goes 1 for 10 from three, it doesn't evoke the same feeling. When Scottie went 1 for 10 from three, people lost their fucking minds. People couldn't believe it. They were like, "Oh my God, stop taking threes, drive to the rim." But when Emmanuel quickly does it, but Emmanuel quickly doesn't have a reputation as a bad shooter, so he has nothing to overcome. When Scottie Barnes went 7 for 15 against the Boston Celtics from three, I don't remember a lot of people celebrating that. That was a big game for him. 7 for 15 from three. That's a huge progression. A guy who doesn't take threes, taking 15 threes against the best team in the league. That's a huge thing. But people didn't celebrate it. Instead, they said, why is he taking 15 threes? He should get his ass in the post. The narrative around Scottie is wrong. I don't know what to do about it other than to keep pointing to the numbers and keep pointing to the narratives that are correct. But I don't think that I'm going to do a very good job of it because I don't think I'm cut out for it. I don't think my personality is cut out for it. I get too angry way too quickly. But thank you for keeping it super respectful. I respect that you have a right to disagree. But yeah, I think I would never classify this as a good game for Scottie. I don't think this was a great game or anything. I definitely wanted more from him. He's gassed, man. He's gassed and he's injured. And, like Kyle Lowry, he plays through it. So, there were those games where Kyle Lowry would go 2 for 8, 2 for 12, or, 0 for 7. And people would just really crucify him. Like, why are we paying this guy $30 million? But then you get into the playoffs and he's like, little engine who could, don't poke the bear, If the Raptors ever do get to the playoffs, I'm saying ever, if they get to the playoffs next year, you will see like fourth quarter squad Scottie for like all fourth quarters. But I think every superstar has like another gear that they can go to. Like I think Kevin Durant, LeBron James, these guys, Luka Doncic, these guys, they sort of just score within the offense through the first three quarters, and then in the fourth quarter they kind of command the offense. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And I mean, I did caveat that by saying like I still think he can be the best player
For
on a
sure.
winning team. I'm just saying stylistically, and this is where the eye test I think sometimes does help you, because you can tell if someone's a little bit awkward when it comes to scoring. You can tell when someone's a little bit awkward with the ball.
Sure.
We saw that with DeMar DeRozan. Like, if you want to just go off the numbers, like DeMar DeRozan was scoring points, but you could tell he wasn't
Was
ever
he
going to
ever
be.
efficient though? Was he ever shooting 77%, 78% at the rim? See, like DeMar is a good athlete. But he doesn't create the type of openings. His shots are hard. His shot diet is hard. So it's difficult. Great players create easy looks. Everything Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic, everything they do is easy. Everything Kevin Durant does is easy. Everything Anthony Davis and LeBron does is easy. I'm not saying everything, but like most of their offense is easy. Everything DeMar DeRozan and Joe Johnson do, it's too much movement. It's hard. That's why they're not superstars. Superstars get easy shots. They get shots within the offense, outside the offense. They get shots with clear separation. Rasheed Wallace is probably one example of a player that I can think that never quite got the marketing of a superstar, but had superstar traits. I think Scottie can be. I think like last year, if you recall, the first 32 games of the season, he was playing primarily shooting guard. He's playing off of Dennis Schroeder. He's playing a lot of backup point guard. And he was 6 box plus minus. He was top 10 in the league in box plus minus. He earned All-Star in those 32 games because Lord knows after OG got traded, this guy went off the cliff. Like he completely nosedived. Like his numbers tanked. Do you know what he was shooting from three during those first 32 games?
Scottie,
Mm-hmm.
37%,
Higher.
40%.
Yeah. He was shooting 39.8% from three. And if you had to venture a guess, it was 6 attempts per 100 possessions. 6 attempts. So he was a high volume 3-point shooter, well, decently, modestly high volume 3-point shooter relative to expectation. And he was hitting nearly 40%, and he was shooting 58% true shooting for 32 games. That was him doing the Brooklyn Nets game over and over and over again. Secondary creation, less ball handling duties, a lot of playing off of Siakam, off of OG, off of Gary, off of, Dennis Schroeder, being more opportunistic, a lot of catch and shoots. We know he can do that. I mean, I know he can do that. But that's not a star. That's not a superstar. What he's trying to do right now is morph into a superstar. And I think what people don't realize is like I was listening to Anthony Edwards, who is probably more your definition of like a certified finals MVP type, right? Like that bucket getter, right? And Anthony Edwards was talking about how it's frustrating to play on the Timberwolves because right now he's getting double teamed so much, he's getting trapped so much. And he said, I'm wired to score. I'm wired to score. I've been wired to score my whole life. Scottie has not been wired to score his whole life. They're rewiring him. They're rewiring him to score. They're rewiring him to think about scoring. They're rewiring him to not do that role player thing that he tends to do a lot, which is just kind of jog up and down the court and wait for the offense. Anthony Edwards would never do that. He hunts for the basketball, right? So it's the same thing as like instinctually basketball is like it's a game of repetition, rhythm, and muscle memory, right? When you've been a guard your whole life and you're gun shy, you don't like to take threes, you have an instinct to sort of step into the paint. You have an instinct to sort of hesitate. So a good coach has to break that instinct to hesitate on the pull and just say, you got to pull or you're going to the bench. You got to become, and it takes hundreds and hundreds of game reps to do that. So right now, Scottie's instinct when he comes off a screen is to look for the pass. It's not to look for the shot. What he's having to learn now is if he doesn't look for the shot, the pass becomes too predictable. So someone has communicated with him something that no coach has previously been able to communicate with him, which is you got to hunt your offense. And I think the moments tonight that it looked good, it looked really good. The moments tonight that it wasn't going well, I think the Raptors suffered for it. Yeah. And Resident One saying Kawhi was rewired. I 100% agree with that. I watched a lot of Kawhi Leonard, in college. He was not like some sort of go-to alpha scorer. He became that. Paul George was also a little bit less like that. He became like that. Tracy McGrady was also less like that. He became like that. This is something you can work towards. You can fully work towards that. I understand what you're saying about the clunkiness. Sometimes his handle can be a little bit high and a little bit clunky, but man, I've seen so many more improved moves this year. It's just not all put together yet. It's going to come. It's going to come. Yeah.
No, I certainly hope so. Hopefully we can get that a top draft pick, and next year we see some more growth. Because obviously, we've seen his other draft class do really well this year. I think it's been a bit disappointing, but I mean, one step back to take two step forward. Hopefully, so.
You mean our draft class?
Scottie's draft class. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
The
yeah. Like
2021 draft
like
class.
they've played really well. Like you've seen Cade, you've seen Mobley
Franz.
all take
Yeah.
steps. I think what happened is Scottie actually he broke out a little bit earlier than them. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I think obviously with the injuries and the roster around him, we haven't really seen him break out again. So maybe that's being reserved for next year.
Yeah. I mean, I think I judge more the body of the work as opposed to like, okay, well, 32 games or 40 games or whatever the hell we're at, that defines the entire, life trajectory, right? Like Cade has been okay. He's been good. Like he's still turnover prone. He's still a below the rim finisher. I mean, shoot, you see Cade on this list? He's right there. Number 15, the worst finishers in the league. So, I mean, you know what I mean? Like there's an upper limit. Like you don't build your franchise around Cade Cunningham if you want championships. I fully believe that. You can't. He's not a big enough athlete. He doesn't have the burst. I've never seen a finals MVP like Cade Cunningham. I'll tell you that much right now. Andre Iguodala is a better player than Cade Cunningham. So that to me is like, that's the wild thing. Like Cade can become a really awesome sixth man at some point in his career when he finally, gets off this superstar shit and Pistons stop trying to force feed this. Or he can become like a really great third option. But his skill set and his mindset is all first option. Scottie's the opposite. His physical gifts are all first option, but his skill set and mindset has been third option his whole life. You just need to flip it. So if Scottie can get that assertiveness that Cade has, where like, okay, my ball, my go, my turn. I haven't touched the ball in 2 possessions. Boom, give it to me. I got it on the block. Yeah, it's a completely different equation, right? So I think that's just like it's coming, like the shot attempts are going up slowly with Scottie. Like there's a process to this, right? Like if we're talking strictly in terms of field goal attempts per 100 possessions, he's gone from averaging 17.8 to 18.8 to 21.7 to 23.1. So it's going up, it's going up. The scoring 21.7, 21.8, 27.5, 28.6. Okay. So maybe next year, the field goal attempts go from 17.5, 18.5, 21.7, 23.1 to 26. And maybe the scoring goes from 21.7, 21.8, 27.5, 28.6 to like 32, 33 per 100 possessions. Then you put better shooting, better finishing, outside. Like, I mean, he's just not shooting well. That's just the thing. He's shooting perfectly well from inside the arc. Everything 15 feet and in is dominant right now, right? But the shooting outside of 15 feet has been so bad this year. But it's worth noting that last year it was really good. It was completely flipped. Like in his second year, he was shooting terribly inside, right? He was shooting terribly inside and outside. Last year, I don't think he was doing a great job inside, but he was doing a much better job from the outside. His shot was going in. So it's just like I feel like when you put it all together, you get a 26 point per game scorer who is a great defender, who is a great passer, which is a superstar. That's a superstar, right? Yeah. All right, man, Luis. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, no, just love all your work, man.
Appreciate
Here
it.
and on the panel as well. Love watching you and really look forward to your take. So
All
thanks
right.
thanks for your work, man. Take
All
care.
right. Appreciate it. Thanks. Bye. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is depressing when you think about it. Grady Dick being this low, but there's Zachary Ricochet, there's Tamani Kamara. Like, I mean, I don't know. You saw Grady smoke a ton of shots at the front of the rim, ton of shots in front of the rim today, and you're like, man, what's going on, right? I I think it's just strength. I think Grady's going to get much better at this. I have a lot of faith that Grady is going to be like either 40th or 80th or like 120th by next year. Like I have a feeling he's going to be better. I have a feeling he can be better. I think he's a good enough athlete. He's a smart enough athlete to attack gaps. I think like yeah, I think he could be great. But this is depressing. Like negative 30.7 in terms of the percentages in terms of finishing is terrible. Like him and Zachary Ricochet are really struggling. And I think they both struggle from the same problem, which is they both have upper body strength issues. Right. Last year, remember Darko Rajakovic saying Grady Dick has the body of a 16-year-old. Well, what's it at right now? 19 years old. I mean, shoot, there is a real like with him, with Grady and with Jacoby, there's a real process whereby you have to go through like a good summer of like work with these guys in terms of weight training, they're gonna be better. Like I am so confident in Grady and Jacoby's upside with this team. Like I feel like they're gonna be like today. Jack Armstrong said this thing about Cody Williams versus Tristan De Silva, and I hear it and I get it. Sometimes these older prospects, these 23-year-olds, they do get slept on. But then you have Chris Duarte and Davion Mitchell, and you're like, shit, maybe you should have slept on them, right? So when you're talking about young players, the gap between an 18 or 19-year-old, like right now, the gap between a 17, 16-year-old like AJ DeBonsa and even someone who's like 3 years older than him is so big, right? But how much he'll close that gap in those 3 years, you can't even imagine. The strength gap between a 24 to 25-year-old and like a 19 to 20-year-old is so immense. That's why what Jacoby's doing is so impressive. That's why the fact that he finishes well is impressive. The fact that he is able to finish through contact and take those hits is so impressive. It'll only get better though. Like there's a natural strengthening that happens with age, right? Like you don't have to do very much about it. Like obviously it helps if you have a pro basketball team helping you get stronger, but very important. Michael Smith saying, what does finishing measure? So as the graphic shows, it measures alley-oops, cutting dunks, cutting layups, dunk attempts. So your layup and dunk attempts on cuts, your layup and dunk attempts on drives, your layup and dunk attempts overall, your putbacks, your tips, your running layups and dunks. So I mean, you have to look at it from the perspective of all of these shots being weighed out, right? And then aggregated evenly, and then you sum total it up, right? So you're seeing a positive Ben Mathurin on the driving layup dunks, right? But if you flip to the other one, you'll see negatives among positives, right? Scottie Barnes has a negative on the driving layup dunks, but then he has a pretty good success rate on putbacks. He has a great success rate on running layups and dunks. Then he has a I'm assuming a really good success rate on cutting layups and dunks. So yeah, it's just measuring touch. It's really measuring finishing talent and touch around the rim. I agree. I love how fearless he and Jacoby are at driving to the rim. I think they're both really going to be they're going to be really good. They're going to be really good. I have faith. In terms of Emmanuel quickly, I think the process is just the process. You know, you're gonna have to go through these lumps with him. I really hope that the shooting will come around because it hasn't looked great so far. I've been sometimes mixed on the defense. He is slight of frame. He's gotten a little bit stronger since last year, but he's a little bit small. So I just want to see a competitive effort defensively. He's certainly not Grady Dick and RJ Barrett levels of bad defensively, but he needs to be an overwhelming positive, and I think that he has the building blocks to be a great defender. So whether he chooses to become one or not, that is a completely different equation. But I think it's much easier to play defense when you're actually trying to win basketball games. I think it's just the record is the record. You can look at the record. If you're the team, you know, you can look at this record and you can say, hey, like I understand what my team is trying to do right now. We're playing young guys. We're clearly trying this MIG thing out. It's not working very well. The Raptors just feel like a team that is already looking forward to the offseason, unfortunately. And if you're the Toronto Raptors, organizationally, you're gonna have to look at this product and say, how do we infuse a little bit of juice, a little bit of life into this product while still losing? Oh, by the way, shoot, you have 45 minutes. Vote Scottie Barnes for All-Star today. It's 3 times the votes today if you want to. I'm not going to be mad at you if you don't do it, or if you're going to be like Aaron Rose and say this team doesn't deserve blah, blah, blah. But yes, we do have a post game up, and it is from Jakob Poeltl, and I am super excited because Jakob Poeltl is my favorite Raptor to listen to when it comes to post game interviews. He gives the most blunt, most honest answers among the entire team. So I hope the internet does not clip out while we're watching this. Give me one sec here. Okay, give me one sec.
Both Ochai and coach were saying that three-point shooting and defending the three-point shot was an issue tonight. What did you see out there tonight?
I think we had a couple, especially in the first half. We just had a couple of possessions in a row where we made like undisciplined like mistakes where we kind of messed up some scouting report stuff where we were going over on guys that we could have went under on that got us into rotations, and then they got threes out of it. There was a couple times where we just didn't close aggressive enough, and they got threes out of it. And to their credit, they were making a lot of shots, especially there early on. So they they punished almost every single one of them. But yeah, we're messing up those final details, and it cost us.
It's obviously great to have quickly back, but it's yet another change to the rotation, another starting lineup to sort of figure out the flow for. What's that like for you trying to reestablish chemistry with a guy who I know you worked with over the summer?
I mean, for me, it's easy. I know how to play with Quick. We've obviously we put in a lot of work already, considering we've only played together really for a year. So that almost comes natural to me. Obviously, we got 5 guys on the court, so everybody kind of needs to be on the same page. We're still working on that, but I think for the most part, that's already looking pretty good. Especially, we're getting the right movement out of our actions. If we're knocking down the shots or not, that's a different story. We can't always control that, but I think the flow of the offense is looking a lot better than it might have done the last couple of weeks.
You and Jamal ran a couple successful empty side pick and rolls. What do you see from his creation?
I think Jamal's actually pretty underrated in the pick and roll. He finds a way. He's really crafty. He finds a way to get himself in the paint. And so far, I've seen it a couple times. They're not really respecting his kind of shoulder bump into a floater game yet. But he's at least from the eye test, he's knocking all those down pretty consistently. And he's also finding the right plays. He's finding people on the weak side when they're sinking in and stuff like that. So you can tell he's considering he's a rookie, he's an experienced point guard. So he's got a lot of basketball under his belt in college and stuff like that.
Defensively, when he's the tagger from the corner, he gets a lot of those swipe downs that Kyle used to get, Fred used to get, sort of protecting the rim below the rim. How much does it help you when you're playing high in the pick and roll to know your guard can sort of make plays like that?
Depending on the coverage, obviously, but if we are in kind of a higher coverage where we're sinking in off the weak side, obviously, you want that guy to be able to be scrappy, make plays on the ball. Gonna have some guys out there that gonna make the play, probably up top somewhere, try and block a shot, and then a guy like Jamal is probably gonna be closer to Fred, and those guys are going to be scrappy, trying to get steals, trying to get deflections there. And I think he's doing a really good job with that.
The roster has rarely been at full strength this season. So as a veteran and the leader, how do you keep the teammates confident and patient?
I think at this point we're used to it, to be honest. It's just it's something most basketball players go through at some point in their career. You're going to have stretches where your main guys are injured, guys are out of the rotation, for whatever reason, somebody else needs to step up. So for us, it's been a longer period than usual, I'd say. We're just continuing to deal with it. But I don't think it's an issue for us. We'll get back to it.
Okay. So, we heard from Jakob Poeltl. I think he had a really competent game around the rim, offensively. Defensively, I have a lot of issues. Want to say big shout out to Time and Fam Jam. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I just received an e-transfer from you. So thank you so much. That's yes, it is from you. So thank you very much for that. I'm just gonna flash your comment here. Jamal is underrated. Yeah, Jamal Shed is awesome. He's great. And I think the Raptors looked a lot better with him on the court tonight, if I'm being honest. When he came into the game, he did point guard things. He got into the paint. He dissected the defense. He found open shooters. Shooters are missing shots. It's not really something Jamal Shed can do. We saw multiple point guard lineups, tonight, again, to try and sort of control those turnovers and decision making. But yeah. Overall, I don't know if RJ Barrett will be back against the Milwaukee game. I suspect he will be, and the Raptors will probably put up one good fight at home before heading out on the road with a full roster. Hopefully there are no more injuries, but, keep the main thing. The main thing is about getting that draft pick this year. It's not about the playoffs. It's not about the play-in. It's not about stats. It's not about all-stars. It's not about all-NBA. It is about that pick, and it is about the future. And again, as long as we can all agree that is the main thing, then we should all be fine. We should all be fine right now. This shouldn't be ruining your night at all, right? A loss like this. It's a little disappointing at times. Yeah, it's not very entertaining. I'll agree with that 100%. I'm not sitting here saying I'm, very much looking forward to every single Raptor game like I have in some years past. But I'll tell you right now, overall, as I think about the future, I feel a lot better today than I did 2 years ago at this time. And that's good. That's good. Hopefully, we'll see some meaningful trades. I think there was a question earlier about like, Jimmy Butler and potentially that, trade happening. I think, oh, Resident One with a super chat here. Playing the Magic highlighted the deficiencies in our defensive system. Not that we have one. They were on a string directing drives into help. Magic are really, really disciplined and very good defensive team, and they have great personnel defensively. I mean, every single player on that team is a somewhat competent defender. I'm not necessarily sure I would put some of those players up there, but they all play within the scheme, and their scheme is designed to cover things up, and the Raptor scheme is designed to open things up. So, wow, sometimes, you think about it and you're like, man, what an elite rim protector might do for you. What a Christian Coloco might do for you. He's currently, according to Crafted Plus Minus, he's currently an 86th percentile defender. What a Christian Coloco would look like off the bench in place of, someone like Kelly Olynyk. I think defensively, at least, it would make a huge, huge difference. I'm not sure this team's problems stem from one particular player, though, offensively or defensively, as an entire thing. They don't play with enough force. They don't play with enough discipline. They make too many mistakes, and they're very aggressive defensively. And this aggression is not a good thing when you have this type of lax personnel, right? If you remember the Raptors under Nick Nurse, they were also very, very aggressive the year they made the playoffs. They were very, very aggressive. They were hunting for those steals and they were pressuring the basketball very much. But it's very different when your personnel is different. Fred VanVleet is a much better defender than any point guard you have on your roster right now, considerably. By wide miles, he's a better defender. When you consider even Dennis Schroeder last year, that was he is a decent defender. He's not a great defender, but he's a decent defender. Scottie Barnes, less engaged offensively, more engaged defensively. OG Anunoby, obviously, kind of shuts down one side of the court. There were spurts with guys like Thaddeus Young, Otto Porter, who were very good defenders. So again, C-Mac with a question here. Who is getting moved by the deadline from this team? It takes two to tango, friend. Unfortunately, it takes two to tango. So, you can dangle Chris Boucher out there. You can dangle Bruce Brown out there. You can dangle these guys out there. It doesn't mean that anyone is going to bite on them. I'm not really seeing it, but I would like the Raptors to make a move. Allegedly, the Raptors are on the market for future draft assets and second draft guys. That's what they want. That's what they've wanted for 2 years now. That's their building philosophy. They want guys like Ochai Agbaji. They want guys like that. Okay. And if there is an Ochai Agbaji-like player available, maybe even a rookie who's just not working out. I'll name you one player that I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on right now, and I wonder if he's available, and that's Reed Shepherd. I think Reed Shepherd would be really interesting on this team. Now, I'm not sure. He's not really playing. He hasn't played well. He's not hitting his shots. So certainly the bust allegations are already out. This is how much patience we have with a really good young player. But I think Reed Shepherd, Devin Carter, and Nikola Topic, those are three players. Those are three guards that were selected in this year's draft that I think could fit in long-term with this team. And all three of them are playing on teams that are, at least in theory, contenders, right? Or at least high-level playoff teams. So, yeah. Troy Knight saying I'd give so much for Reed Shepherd. I don't know about so much, but certainly I would explore, Ochai Agbaji plus a pick. I would look at that and see if they would bite. I just don't think they need that. I think they need something much more, and I don't think we have it. Raven saying Walker Kessler would be a good fit on this team, in my opinion. Walker Kessler might be one of the worst offensive players in the league this year. He's been really bad. But, buy low, possibly. Raptors fan account. Rob, what do you think of Barrett for Jonathan Isaac swap? So, Jonathan Isaac's one of my favorite players in the league. He's one of my favorite human beings in the league for a multitude of reasons. I love his brand. Check out his shoes, especially if you're religious. If you're religiously inclined, he has shoes with Bible verses on them. He's a super, 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 super athlete, like a super great defender. It makes sense if you were contending, but you're not contending. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. Every time I play 2K, I trade for Jonathan Isaac, but Troy Knight saying Orlando wouldn't do it. I wouldn't be so sure about that. I think Orlando might agree to that because RJ Barrett would be very, very good for Orlando as a sixth man. I think he would be very good for that team. And they have enough defense to hide him. Capital Gain said, I said before the draft, Reed Shepard might not be able to get a shot off in the NBA like Joe Wieskamp. What do you see? Haven't watched enough. Haven't watched enough of his struggles so far. Looked great in Summer League. I think he'll figure it out. I think he will. His jump shot's very pure. Justin Stewart with a super chat. Thank you so much. Happy with the youth this year. Just need a second star. Shout out to arguably Urish's best game tonight. 3-ball was a nice moment. 6 blocks too. So I am very, very excited to watch this game. I obviously, as somebody who was watching the Raptors game, unfortunately, could not watch the 905 game. So I'm going to watch the 905 game and possibly do a post game for the 905 game and cover Ulrich's plays tomorrow. Okay. Very excited about that. Ulrich hit a 3. Awesome. Amazing. How did Mobo do? I mean, y'all don't have to tell me. I will definitely do the film breakdown tonight and I'll look into it. And also Resident 1, I will be doing your film breakdown this weekend, so you will see it either Sunday or Monday. All right. So we'll definitely take a look. And I think after this game, we have plenty to look at with the Raptors defense. Spooky Ghost Rider. Rob, if we get number 1 and assuming we take Cooper, do you see the media hyping it up as his team? 100%. The media will hype this up as Cooper's team. 100%. Yes, they will. The hockey media will love Cooper Flag. TSN will love Cooper Flag. Hello and Welcome will love Cooper Flag. JD Bunkus will love Cooper Flag. Those old farts over at the Bob McCowan show, they will love Cooper Flag. The NBA itself will love Cooper Flag. Yes, this will officially, as per the marketing, this will shift towards Cooper and Scottie. But for most casual fans and for most media, Cooper will become immediately the face of the league. I want to share a quote with y'all to end the night because I think my phone's about to die, so I really hope it doesn't die before I do this. But it's a quote from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and I shared it on Instagram earlier. And it's a picture of Scottie and Darko, and I'll read you the quote. Said, mediocrity knows nothing higher than itself, but talent instantly recognizes genius, from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And I wrote, and it was a Twitter post, one day Toronto fans and media will be very grateful that neither of these men gave a shit about their opinion. Look, I'm going to keep this energy. I am going to keep that energy pretty much until I'm right. And I know I will be right about what Darko and Scottie mean to this organization and what they mean. I think it's very, very important to realize, to be humble. Sorry, I'm hearing a little bit of buzzing on my background and I need to figure out this cable. And, it's a 25-foot cable, so maybe it's just too long a cable. And that's why I'm getting all this buzzing and feedback. So I apologize to anyone who's listening with good headphones. There is a little bit of a buzz. I heard it on the panel this week as well. So I need to figure this out before I get on the panel again. Let me just say one thing before I get out of here. And this is an important one. I did not grow up in the era of TikTok. I don't know if you can tell from my face. I'm a little bit older than some of you. Some of you might be in your mid-20s, early 20s, late teens, etc. I have no idea. Our audience is roughly my age, but I'm assuming some of you are significantly older than me as well. And some of you are significantly younger. So I grew up in an era, and unfortunately, I didn't really grow up like the people in my era. So it's a weird thing, but my parents were like siblings to me as opposed to parents. I took on their habits, their mannerisms, their tastes, and certain things. And so it was very common for me as, a 12-year-old to get along much better with a 30-year-old than it was to get along with people my own age. And I think I'm very, very pure about basketball. I get very, there's a lot of pride in it invested in me about going and breaking down the film. I can't get my takes from X. This is not where good basketball discussion is had, right? I'm very pure about it. I get along with people who are very pure about it as well, whether we agree or disagree. I admire the people who do the work. People like Dorian Group do the work. People like Jordan, over on the panel, they do the work. Okay. These are people who break down the film. They're very, very meticulous. They're very nerdy about it. But this is how we consume basketball. We consume basketball by watching the actual game, by slowing it down, by breaking down plays, right? We don't consume basketball in hot takes. We don't consume basketball in narratives, right? So the truth is that I have studied basketball for a very, very long time, and I take my opinion seriously. Is what I'm saying. I don't just throw something out there. If when I said Shai Gilgeous-Alexander might be one of the best basketball players I've ever seen in my life, I meant it. I meant it. I didn't make that comment flippantly, right? I'm not just throwing things out there. When I said that I think Scottie's going to be a superstar, an all-star when he was struggling in his second year, certainly I did not make that. I did not come to that opinion by watching a highlight mix. When I said I watched Scottie in high school, I didn't watch high school highlights of him. I watched full games of this guy. I studied his mannerisms. I studied how he interacted with his team. There's a lot of pride involved in this, because the truth is that y'all who are listening to this, the 1,000+ of you who are going to watch this at some point, you can put up with all this little buzzing that's going on in the background. To those of you, you're going to get something from this live. You're going to get information. You're going to get takes. You're going to get things, and you're going to take something from this and you're going to bring it to your life. You're going to talk about the Raptors, and maybe, the next time one of your friends brings up this Scottie only scores in the fourth quarter, you'll do the same thing I did. You'll be like, well, how many points do you think he scores in the fourth quarter? Right? Or maybe, you'll have a discussion about RJ Barrett and you'll be able to point more specifically to his defense and his paint finishing. Or the next time someone says that RJ Barrett is like one of the best finishers in the league, you'll be like, but look at the numbers, right? Like, I think I take that very, very seriously, because at some point I believe that you just don't get to be wrong anymore. I do believe that. Even in our age of hot takes and instant amnesia and how quickly we forget what people said and how they said it, I don't forget. I don't forget. I'm like an elephant. I don't forget anything. It's my biggest blessing, my biggest curse is that I don't forget. I was just a teenager when I listened to Jack Armstrong begin his public maligning. Entertainer clip saying, please let me call in. Please, I have some things to say about this game. Sure, call in. That's perfectly fine. The link is in the description. You can call in. I was just a teenager when I first heard Jack maligning Vince Carter as someone who didn't care about the game. Those words echoed in my mind for years. And it changed how I looked at Jack Armstrong forever, because I couldn't believe what he had said. And every year I would watch Vince Carter play and continue his career until he was 43. It continued to reverberate in my mind that someone who was calling this guy's games had decided to take such a public jab and open up this criticism, because these labels, they stick. They're very ugly. They're very ugly. There was a person in the chat or in the comment section yesterday who I have challenged. Oh Lord. There was a person in the chat who I challenged to reveal their basketball acumen, or they would be banned from this channel, who said that I had gone after Fred's mother and his sister. Where did this rumor come from? That never happened. That's 100% lie. That never happened. But he said it so confidently. I wonder where he heard it. These labels stick. So when you say Scottie is, doesn't work the full game, he only works fourth quarters, that's a label that sticks. Anytime he has a tough first half, people say, oh, well, that's just Scottie Barnes being Scottie Barnes. When you start talking about Scottie's body language and, how immature he is, every outburst becomes, oh, well, I guess Jack was right. I've decided to do the same thing. I'm holding the people accountable who try to hold people accountable. I'm letting you know what their playbook is. And their playbook is simple. Their playbook is, first, they stoke this paranoia. sort of like, will the Raptors regret trading Anton Jameson? He was the more proven player. What if Vince Carter's a bust? So it gets you engaged, it gets you paying attention. It gets you kind of panicked a little bit. And panicked people pay attention. When you're panicked about the economy, when you're panicked about immigration, when you're panicked about all these things, you pay attention. You're engaged because your mind is alert. If I tell you that everything's fine in your country, go to bed. You're not gonna watch the news. That's why the news is so consistently negative. So once they cross that hurdle, then they say, never mind, this guy's actually pretty great. And then they become the hype. Vince Carter is Michael Jordan. Vince Carter's better than Kobe Bryant, Grant Hill. He's better than all these guys. He's a champion. He's going to win championships. But they build them up only to tear them down later. So that it's just content. These people are content, right? They do it for the content. So all they want to do at that point is they want to build them up so they can tear them down. They can say they weren't all these things. But who said they were these things in the first place? You. You said they were these things. And you were wrong. The only person who should be maligned for Vince Carter not turning to Michael Jordan is the people who told you he was Michael Jordan. Not him. He didn't ask for that. He didn't say he was. He didn't say, I'm Michael Jordan. So why should he be held to that standard? Because you want to hold him to that standard because that's content. That gets you engagement, that gets you likes. And then when he doesn't become it, then you start feeding the paranoia. Does he hate Canada? Will he leave? And now everything he does, becomes like evidence for that. So if you start saying Vince Carter doesn't want to be in Canada long term, then you start paying attention to him not mouthing the words of the national anthem or him. Wow, what is happening to my throat today? I'm sorry. Not doing well. You start paying attention to him not showing up to a hockey game while his other teammates are like, oh, well, guess he does hate Canada. And then they create the real toxic narrative, which is he hated us. He hated the city. They do this with all the athletes in the city. I hate it. I hate it. And that's why I'm doing it to them. I'm doing it to them so y'all will stop taking them seriously so that you clip their wings. Y'all abuse your power. So now you can have a channel that is going to put their foot on your necks every single time you do this shit. Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam. We were told they were stars. Are they stars? No, they're not. Are they all stars? No, they're not. They're just bloated max players, right? Who their fan bases are immediately regretting. Do y'all take the L for it? No. Okay. And if you think I'm building up Scottie Barnes to tear him down one day, you don't know me at all. I will support this dude until he retires and then 50 years after. He's a really good person. He's really the type of player you really want to have on your franchise. And I really believe that he's going to become a superstar for this team. And the day he does, I'll know that I never wavered in my faith for 1 second. But I don't think I'm going to get credit for it. I don't think most people are going to be like, that's the guy that never, ever gave up the vision. That's the guy who said it first. That's the guy who wanted it in the draft. I don't think people are going to say that. I think people are just going to reinvent the wheel and act like you all had it right all along. And that's it. How do you convince people to deal with the truth, to learn about winning when all they do is lie about their losses? Can't. That's why we keep receipts. That's why that drive folder that I have of all these clips, y'all better not lie. Y'all better not lie. Y'all better not lie. Y'all better not lie about what you said about Scottie's work ethic. Does he still have work ethic issues? Let me clarify. Does he still have work ethic issues? It's all good, man. All right, Brooke, what's up?
What's up, man?
That's good.
Just chilling. Been watching the pod. Just watching the show. Catch the game today. Few things I want to say. I still think Scottie obviously is still dealing with the injury. He looks a little bit sluggish, slow out there. I think the play where he missed that dunk, like I feel like if he was healthy, obviously he finishes that play. I just want to say this though. I feel like the reason why the fan base is so hard on Scotty is because we built him up to be the franchise player. So we have like high expectations for him to be this guy, our savior, who's gonna take us all the way one day, right? We don't have those same
Who
expectations.
built him up to be the franchise player? I did. Who else did?
Yeah, the Raptors organization.
I don't think they've done that at all. I think
You don't think
they
so? Giving him the max extension, saying we're building around Scottie Barnes, that Masai repeatedly keeps on saying.
okay. So you're building around him. Does that mean that he has to become Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant overnight?
No,
No.
but they're building up a narrative that he's one day, hopefully he develops into that superstar talent.
Cool. And when one day comes, we can tell them that they were right or wrong. But until that day comes, why panic? Do you not trust Masai Ujiri's eye for talent? This is the same guy who identified Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. This is the same guy who, Masai Ujiri's comments on Scottie as a rookie were very telling. He said, "This is the most talented rookie I've ever had on my roster since Carmelo Anthony."
And, that's
It's,
that's
I
high praise.
mean, again, when you look at the people who've co-signed Scottie,
Mhm.
from KD to Luka to Jokic to
Mhm.
to Kevin Garnett, like I love Scottie Barnes. Scottie Barnes, one of my
Mhm.
favorite players, etc. To Magic to Kyle Lowry. It's
Facts.
really difficult to understand how much hubris a person has to have go against this.
No, you're right. You're right. I have a question. You know, it's weird because we say that Scotty, like, he plays more like his whole high school career, college career, the first 2 seasons of his NBA career, he played more like a role player role, right? But
Okay, I didn't say his whole high school career. It's just Montverde.
Montverde, right?
He
But
averaged a triple double in
I know.
EYBL.
But like, I feel like, why is he now starting to develop more of a perimeter game? Like, he wasn't a late bloomer. Like, this is a guy who was ranked as a top recruit since he was like 14, 13 years old. You know what I'm saying? So why is it now like he's forced to develop as a perimeter? Like, this is a top prospect. He's been told that, hey, you're gonna be special in the league. Like, why now is he? Because
Was DeMar DeRozan a top prospect?
I think he was, yeah, in high
Yeah,
school, yeah,
he was consistently ranked as a top 3, top
yeah,
4 player in his class. Right, he was a
uh-huh,
huge bucket getter.
uh-huh, for
Would you
sure.
agree? Would you agree that DeMar DeRozan had a jump shot to work on when he came in as a rookie?
Sure, but if you watch his USC highlights, he had a perimeter game. He had a much more advanced perimeter game than Scotty at that age. Would you agree with that?
Mildly, he was a much worse passer. Is that a perimeter skill?
No, yeah, he was kind of bad.
Okay, so his handle was nothing special at USC. He was a transition athlete. He was like RJ
Mhm.
Barrett with more vert. That was it. Like, he was just dunk, 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 dunk transition. He had very little wiggle in his game. There was some mid-range stuff, but he was shooting over like 5'11" guys. I don't
Mhm.
rank that. No,
Yeah,
DeMar struggled immensely for the first 2 years of his career, way more than Scotty did. Way
yeah,
more. Rookie Scotty is so much better than DeMar DeRozan
yeah.
as a
No,
rookie. It's
it's not
nuts.
not a comparison. Yeah,
Okay,
it's not.
so why? Why was rookie Scotty so much better?
Well, because
I mean,
again,
DeMar was the more hyped player. I mean,
uh-huh,
if we're being clear, prior to the draft, Scottie Barnes, prior to the draft workouts, so coming out of Florida State, Scottie Barnes was ranked as the 8th player on most mock drafts. 8th.
coming out of Florida State,
Mhm.
no, he was ranked 5. I swear, he was ranked right behind Jalen
Mm-mm.
Suggs.
No, he wasn't. That was right before the draft when he
Hmm.
moved up the draft boards because he measured extremely well and he
Exactly.
did really well in his workouts. But prior to the draft, there were talks of Scotty going as low as 11. So yes, like, there were some serious concerns. Let's not do that revisionist history thing where we all act like we knew what was up. No, I knew what was up. That's a very
Hmm.
different thing. But no, most people said Jalen Suggs was significantly better. Jalen
Yeah.
Green was significantly better. They said it was a
Mhm.
4-player draft. That's why
Yeah.
people were so upset when Scotty was taken. I mean,
Mhm.
if you think it was a 5-player draft and the Raptors took the 5th best player,
Mhm.
eh, why do you think people were so upset? Why do you think ESPN and Bleacher Report gave us such a bad grade? It's not because Scotty was supposed to be some
No.
superstar.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So it's very easy to keep moving the goalposts. This is
Mhm.
unfortunately something you did a lot in our last conversation. I think you move the goalposts a lot. So if Scottie Barnes is being ranked If he's supposed to live up to the billing as the best player in that draft class, then I have to ask, how did he go from the 8th best player in that draft class to the best player in that draft class if he's not a hard worker? You know what I mean?
No,
Like
I
if he's
never.
not super talented or whatever. But I mean, that was the narrative. You remember that in year 2, year 3, there was a lot of questions.
Yeah, no, that
Scottie,
was the
is he
narrative
training?
around.
Is he working hard? Does he care? Does he you know, whatever. Well, obviously he must care because he went from the 8th best player in his draft class to the best player in his draft class. Then you might argue he's not the best player in his draft class, but at least you can argue he's top. You can
For sure.
concede he's
up
top
there.
3,
Yeah,
top 4.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's living up to his draft billing. What the fuck do you want? I mean,
No.
you look at the number. Look at the history of number 4 picks. How many how many have been great? Chris Bosh, Chris Paul, Scottie Barnes. How many others can you think of? Number 4 picks that have been great.
Man, there's not a lot. I'm saying I'm just like I'm talking mostly towards his scoring though. Mostly towards his scoring ability, like his aggressiveness. Like
Okay. So if Scottie could score as well as Cameron Thomas, right? But he was not a passer, not a defender. Would you be okay with that?
No, I would not be okay with that. But I understand.
So why
that
why does the
someone-
conversation around Scottie always come back to what he's not good at, but it ignores the 1,000 things he is good at?
Because the one thing that he's not good at is, believe it or not, is one of the most important things in basketball.
What is he not good at?
Being an elite 3-level scorer, which he's not there yet. And he's got a long way to go.
Is Cade an elite 3-level scorer?
He's not elite, but he's way more advanced than Scottie. We can agree on that, right?
Oh my God, you're still on this, huh? Did you catch that earlier part where we talked about the worst finishers in the NBA?
Yes, I saw that, and I was actually really surprised.
So your
15,
elite 3-level scorer is one of the 15 worst finishers in basketball. How the hell do you how do you justify that? How do you square that in your head?
I also believe that the reason why Scottie Barnes' field goal percentage around the basket is very high is because he doesn't shoot a lot of baskets around. Like I want to see the number where attempts around the basket, where he ranks on that.
So you think Cade is like some sort of relentless driver?
He texts the rim constantly. Yes, I believe so. And I think he's not. He doesn't have a 7'3" wingspan. He's not 6'9" like Scottie. Like you know what I mean? Like you
He was
even said
supposed
like
to.
he's actually smaller than what they say he is. Like they said he's 6'8".
They said he would. Hey man, the draft experts told me they were the same size.
No, they're definitely not. It's probably the hair, but no, they're definitely not the same size at all.
Okay. So what is your point today?
I'm just saying like I watched Scottie, right? And I just feel like he's behind offensively when I'm just scoring. I don't want to say offense, just scoring when I like just having that feel of scoring the basketball, being like the aggressiveness of scoring the basketball. I feel like in that he's a little bit behind because he wasn't told to do that as a high school, college player. But to me, I feel like he should have. Those are things he should have been working on early on because he was always been hyped up to be this top level prospect who's gonna make a big impact in the NBA, which he has.
Was
Not saying
Shaquille
he has-
O'Neal a 3-level scorer?
No, bro, but again, like he don't. He's 7 feet, bro. Like you know what I mean? Like he's one of the most dominant
Okay.
physical human beings ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't really care about people's feelings. I don't know if you can talk about me. I don't really care about your feelings, my feelings, or anybody's feelings about this. What I care about is the facts. The facts are that a player can be a top 5 recruit for a multitude of reasons. Scottie was a top 5 recruit because of his athleticism, because of his abilities as a connective passer, as potentially as a big guard or a big wing, because of his defense. Okay,
yes.
those things have been as advertised.
It has, but now we're
Okay.
asking him to take a role. We're
Okay,
asking him to
well,
take
I need you to keep that same energy with Cade Cunningham's defense. Remember how Cade Cunningham was built as a great defender, and he's been this garbage ass defender.
100%.
Okay, so
100%.
here's what
But
I
he's
don't.
also, but he's also.
Here's what I don't see happening in the Pistons land. I don't hear people saying, Cade is like this much better player offensively, but now I need him to be this great defender. I need Cade to be like why? Like Scottie is closer to Cade offensively than Cade is to Scottie defensively. That's why Scottie's a better player. I'm not using a checklist argument. I'm straight up telling you he's a better player.
And okay, and I agree with that, but my argument would be, don't you think because he's been told to carry such an offensive load that he gets tired on the other end. He uses the defensive end to rest.
So Scotty's not carrying an offensive load.
He is, but again,
Okay, so what if Scotty's carrying such a defensive load that he's tired on the offensive end?
I mean,
Maybe
I don't
maybe
think. I
maybe
honestly
maybe
think.
playing such hard defense
I don't think he's.
and leading the league in distance traveled almost every
But
single year
but
is some
listen,
of those things that it kind of wears on your legs, and maybe
but
your legs are really important when it comes to shitty
I
jumpers.
understand
No?
that. But Scotty takes breaks on the defensive end too. I'm not gonna ignore like he doesn't do that as well. Like he'll lazy close out, miss assignments. He'll what I'm saying. He'll
Okay,
battle
what is your
rotations.
goal here, man? Like this is two straight conversations. You don't move. Like I mean, you're like a fucking wall. Like I feel like I'm talking to a wall. All the information I gave you in the last conversation, none of it has come. You've come with the exact same conversation, the same take. This is not, and I'm not trying to be rude, Brooke. This is
Yes.
not Brooke and Rob shoot the shit. This is a fucking call-in show. So bring
No,
up a point. What is your point? You
no,
feel Scotty's behind Cade offensively as
that's it.
in
Or
terms of the
not
bag?
just behind
Cool. I agree with you.
offensively. Just
I agree
yeah,
with
just
you.
like
He has
yeah.
a smaller bag than Cade. He's further behind. However, what's the surprise here? One guy was billed as Luka Doncic. The other guy was billed as this 3-level scorer. The fact that we're having this conversation right now is a testament to Scotty.
Uh-huh.
The fact that this is even close is a testament to Scotty. The fact that we can even have this discussion is a testament to Scotty. This is like saying Draymond Green is a below the rim scorer. Look, read the scouting report on Draymond Green. He is a below the rim finisher. Guess what? That's what he is. He's a below the rim finisher. Draymond Green is a below the rim finisher. Now imagine someone like you comes up and says, Draymond Green is this fantastic defender. He's a great connected passer. But you know what I really hate about Draymond Green and what really bothers me about Draymond Green is he doesn't jump like Vince Carter. I was like, bro, he was never supposed to jump like Vince Carter.
Yeah.
Scottie Barnes was never supposed to average 20 points per game in his life. Nobody said it but me. I'm gonna be 100% a buck. Find me one fucking person in the world who said Scottie Barnes was ever supposed to be a 20-point per game scorer. There were literally people who were saying it's okay if he averages 15 one day, and he averaged 15 as a rookie. And then they moved it and like, okay, well, what about 20 next year? And then he struggled and they crucified him. Then he averaged 20 last year. And now they're like, okay, well, what about 25? You can't have it all, man. Everyone's not gonna, everyone's not Vince Carter.
The expectations have changed though. Like when he came to the league, yes, he was supposed to be this Swiss Army knife role player, a guy who could help on a competitive team. But now the expectations have changed. Now he's been built up to be this, one day superstar type talent, superstar type player who's gonna carry a load of an organization. That's what I'm just saying. Like it's
I feel like
different.
God is testing me at this point, like for real. I feel like conversations like this and some of the Twitter interactions and Raptors Reddit, I feel like God is really testing my patience right now. Like I feel like, the other day I turned on 2K and one of the first impulses I had to fight was trading. I wanted to trade Scotty to the Miami Heat. I just wanted to trade him to the Miami Heat, just so I don't have to fucking deal with this anymore. I mean, the world is big right now. Like I can easily watch Heat games. I hate how this fan base talks about this guy. I hate how stupid this fan base is that they can't appreciate all the things that he does. And I hate how bad it makes me sound calling this entire fan base stupid, but it's not this entire fan base. There are plenty of people in this fan base who understand basketball, who really do understand what Scotty does. And then there are people who will sit here and talk to me and say RJ is like a better finisher. And it drives me crazy. It really does. Y'all have some expectation of Scotty turning into, I don't know what you want him to turn into. I don't know what you expect of him. What I'm saying is it's a process. It's going to happen in building blocks. You talking about it, me talking about it is not going to rush the process. The only thing that's going to rush the process is going to be him getting out there, him trying to find his game, him going into the gym and working every summer. And he is going to do it. The only thing I'm confident about is that one day, even people like you will appreciate Scotty's game completely.
I do. I appreciate his game. I think the reason I called in today really was to make the point that the reason why us Raptors fans were so hard on Scotty is because listen, we appreciate him.
Can you be honest though? The reason us Raptor fans are so hard on Scotty is because us Raptor fans are stupid as fuck. Can we be real? Like, because us Raptor fans are a little bit new to basketball. Us Raptor fans might be a little bit dumb, a little bit slow. Is that possible? Is it possible that us Raptor fans are being fed by a really clueless media that has a tendency to kind of hone in on everything that a player doesn't do? Oh, Vince Carter. Perfect example of Vince Carter. This dude wins Rookie of the Year. He's a multi-time All-Star. He's super marketable. Oh, but he doesn't have the toughness. He's not tough. Well, fuck
Mhm.
y'all, man. Everyone's not going to be Michael Jordan. Learn to appreciate players for what they are. Okay. I didn't think Chris Bosh was worth building around. I really didn't. Okay.
Same,
But
same
there's
here.
certain players that just don't mesh well with this space, with this media, with the people in this country, with the people of this city. Now, Scottie has done everything right.
Uh-huh.
Everything right. He's been in the gym. He's worked hard. He's chasing it
Not
relentlessly.
saying
He's
he
played
hasn't.
hurt. He's advanced his game to like the thing that makes me so mad, and I'm going to tell you like why I'm getting so heated. If I told you
Mhm.
when he was drafted, based on your admission in our last
Mhm.
calling that you wanted Suggs, if I told you this dude right here, the one we saw against the Brooklyn Nets in
Yeah.
this game, if I just averaged those two games out, he averaged 25 points per game.
Yeah.
Or those two games. If I told you that would happen, you would be so happy.
Mhm.
You would be so fucking happy.
I would.
But
You're
right now, you're pissing and moaning.
I'm not
Why?
pissing. I'm not pissing.
Why?
I'm actually not even mad the way he listen. I know I know we got in a debate the other day about Scott and Kate, but I'm not gonna be hard on Scotty until he heals his ankle because clearly he's not healthy. If
We
anybody
can be
watches this team,
hard on someone when it is warranted. We can be
okay,
hard on someone when it's realistic.
Well, like okay, but I'm just saying, I'm just proving the point, like why the fans are just so hard on him because the
The
expectation. I'm
fans are
not hard.
hard on
I
him because the
appreciate
fans
him.
are stupid as fuck.
Okay, but I
Our
appreciate
fan
him.
base is now like our community has supported this dude 100% of the way through. This media space and the vast majority, I'm gonna say the majority of fans,
Mhm.
because the voting results are telling me how fans feel about Scottie Barnes, are stupid as fuck. How many posts have you seen build around RJ, build around RJ? How many posts have you seen like that? I've seen tons. How many posts have you seen saying Scottie wasn't a hard worker? It's so embarrassing. It's so
Artist
fucking
Canadian. That's
embarrassing
why
that
it's a
this
Canadian.
fan base turned on this dude in year fucking two, when he was 21 years old and
I didn't
struggling through
though.
multiple. Sure, you didn't. Okay. But I'm talking about the vast
Mhm.
majority of
Yeah,
the
no, you're
people
right.
in this
You're right.
space.
Yeah.
They did. And it
Mhm.
was so embarrassing that Kyle Kuzma, not even a player on his team, Kyle
Mhm.
Kuzma had to come to his defense and say, this is how impatient we are. How ridiculous is this?
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, yeah, you have a point there. I can't disagree with you. I listen. I know people think I'm Scotty and I'm anti-Scotty. I'm a Scotty hater. I'm not. I really love his
No, I
game
don't
and I
think you're
appreciate it.
anti-Scotty. I think you're just missing the plot. I think you're caught up in the wrong narratives, maybe. Like
Mhm.
I feel like I'm telling you like an older brother, like, yo, you're hanging around with the wrong people. You're listening to the wrong articles, the wrong podcast. Look, the coverage on Scotty has been wrong since day one. Okay, it's
Mhm.
been wrong, and the problem with people who are wrong is they want to be right. They don't want to admit
Mhm.
they're wrong, right? So they just keep going at it, right?
Mhm.
It's like they just want to be right. It's like a gambler,
Yeah.
like the roulette wheel, right?
Yeah.
You ever played roulette?
I have.
Okay, when you stack it in the middle and it
Yeah.
doesn't hit, what do? You
Mhm.
double up. What do you do again? You double up.
Double. You
And,
keep going.
like a degenerate fucking idiot,
Mhm.
you're sitting there $9,000 in the hole,
Mhm.
and you're like the next one, and you don't realize. Just leave. You could have
Are,
left. You
are you
know,
referring to the Canadian media, how bad they've covered Scotty, or nationally?
it's the whole league, man.
Wow.
Nobody gets this guy's game because he does all that other stuff that people are
Mhm.
not do.
Interesting,
Look,
man.
the coverage on Shea has been so bad. I don't
Yeah,
feel
no,
like
it has.
Shea
It
is so
has.
much better than Anthony Edwards.
It
He's
has.
so much better than
Bro,
Anthony
I
Edwards.
saw Charles Barkley saying, or Kenny saying that John Moran is better than SGA, or he would have him over, he would choose Jaw over SGA if Jaw didn't go through his like gun thing. Like Jaw would be the face
Sure,
reboot. I don't know. I feel like to me SGA is underrated. I don't feel like he gets
for
talked
sure.
about enough. I don't think he should be the face of the league, but because I guess he's Canadian, they're not gonna do that. But whatever, it's
Maybe it's
cool.
because he plays in OKC. But my
That
point is
too.
that Shea Gilgeous-Alexander does a million things on the basketball court that the average person does not notice.
Hmm.
He is so good. He commands the game so well. I
Hmm.
feel like Shea is underrated. I feel like Jokic is underrated.
Yeah.
But then there's people like, and I respect Anthony Edwards a lot. But
Yeah,
there are
but
players
he
like Anthony Edwards that get gassed up to hell. Cade
gassed up
Cunningham, they get
way
gassed
too
up to hell.
much.
But why? Why do these guys get gassed up to hell? Because they were first overall picks, because people are super invested in their success, because they've always been invested in their success. But a player like Nikola Jokic, a player like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, a player like Scottie Barnes, guys who were more understated prospects, even if they were highly regarded players, obviously, if they were top 5 picks, top 10 picks, they're highly regarded players. But Shea was never covered as like he's going to be the next big thing. So when Andrew Wiggins goes off, it's good. When Zion Williams goes off, it's good. You ask the casual NBA fan, who do they know more about, Zion Williamson or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? That's the NBA's problem. They don't promote their best players. Scottie's one of their best players. Okay. And I feel like this is just, it's so sad. It's so sad at this point that we have an entire generation of people consuming basketball through TikTok,
Yeah, no
through
highlights,
highlight reels,
Instagram, house of
through hot
highlights.
takes, through narratives. These people do not know how to break down film. They do not know how to sit there and really dissect it. If they did, they would understand that as many holes as there are in Scottie's game, there are already so many advantages that he generates on a night-to-night basis. There are things that, you know, you think that you can't take it for granted that Cade can't guard bigs. You can't take that
No,
for granted.
for
You know,
sure.
it's an important thing because in a playoff series, it helps. Last year, Jason Tatum being able to step in when Kristaps Porzingis went out and being able to play center for the Boston Celtics, that's not something Jaylen Brown can do. That's not something that most players can do. That's not something Cade will ever be able to do. So
Versatility matters.
exactly. And the idea that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander can switch down to the 3 or the 4 and play that because he's so sound positionally, because he puts so much work into himself, because he finishes so well on the rim, people just hone in, you know, the in-season tournament. What do they say? Oh, Shai's trash because, you know, he's not hitting threes, blah, 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 blah. Do you see how well he commands the floor? It's also the understated intangibles, how great a leader Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is. He's so selfless. He's such a hard worker. These things matter to me, you know, as someone who is a lifelong, you know, observer of the game. And these are the things that Scottie has in spades. So yeah. Anyways, man, any final thoughts?
I have one final question. And that's it. I know you've been covering the draft this year and the prospects. Listen, I've been on Cooper Flag, Dalen Hofford, but I saw that game with Ace Bailey. I know you know. I know you know. I know you know the game I'm talking about. The one where he had 38. I'm watching him, man, and that one game changed my whole perspective. Like all like the questions I had about him, I don't know because I thought his handle was a little bit stiff. I was not a fan of his ball handling, but in that game, the way he was handling the ball, the way he was attacking the rim, the way he was shooting over people, I don't know. I think if we do get a top 2, top 3 pick, I don't know. I might be favoring Ace over Dylan. I'll still take Kuto, but I don't know. Like your thoughts on Ace because I knew you were covering him and you had questions about his ball handling as well.
I have more questions about Ace Bailey than I do about Dylan Harper or Cooper Flag long term. It's not just his ball handling, it's his inability to get into the paint. It's his inability to read the second layer of the defense and third level of the defense. I don't think that he does that. I think he settles for too many shots. I'm not necessarily sure he's a great defender. I think he can probably project to be a decent one. I'm not sure he's a great passer. So I'm not really trying to pick up, you know, a tough shot maker who doesn't do a hell of a lot else. I'd be very curious to know the psychological profile of these players and dig more into that at some point, you know, when it becomes clearer still. I mean, it doesn't need to become any clearer that the Raptors are tanking. The Raptors are clearly tanking, but you know, as the Raptors get closer to the draft and it becomes more, you know, like clear what range of the draft they're likely to be put into, then I think I'll do more of the draft videos, especially after Pendance wraps up. I'm 100% all draft, you know, at that point. So, you know,
100%.
I don't overreact to one game though. I
No.
don't care. Like one game, I've seen enough from Ace Bailey over the last 2 years to know that his handle is a question mark, that his athleticism can sometimes, you know, come and go. And I think
really
for a player that size to be playing against smaller players who are not, you know, necessarily top 10, top 15, top 20 players, and to see the way he struggled this year, yeah. I mean, you know, I'll remind you, Terrence Ross had a 50-point game, right? Charlie Villanueva had a 48-point game.
In college,
you know,
though?
in the NBA.
That's actually crazy.
That's even better. Yeah. Brandon Jennings had a 56-point game in his first week I think it was second week as a rookie.
Oh, Brandon Jennings?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
But he didn't turn into superstar, right? So I need longer sample size from one game. But yes, he looked much better. I'll give you that. Ace Bailey looked a lot better. All right. Okay. All right.
Appreciate it, brother.
Take care. Okay. Cool. All right. Thanks for the call-in. I will talk to you all later. I'm very, very sorry about that earlier disruption to the internet. And big thank you to Photime for the e-transfer, and also Justin Stewart and Resident One for the super chats. Appreciate y'all as always. Appreciate this community for sticking with it. And yeah, sorry for getting a little bit heated there. I genuinely, I think I am deeply bothered just by the way this space covers athletes. I think there's a lack of respect for it, and there's a lack of intelligence and insight into how it's done, and it never gets called out. It never gets exposed. It never is accounted for. It's never apologized for, and into just it bothers me. It bothers me. Maybe it's because I'm on the spectrum. Maybe it's the Asperger's. It just it I like all I keep thinking about is they can't keep getting away with this. How do they keep getting away with this? How are people so dumb that they don't wake up to this? I don't know. Facts. And I have passion for much more than Scottie. You know, there was a I will never forget this. Someone said, you know, when the Black Lives Matter thing was happening, when that movement started, somebody said, you know, don't all lives matter? And and then someone responded, but it's the Black lives that are hurting right now. You know, it's like, you know, you don't like if you have 99 sheep and one of them is being abused, you help the sheep that is being abused without caring that the other 98 are not wondering, well, why is he not helping me right now? Because you're not being abused right now, right? So believe me, this channel has turned into, you know, over the year, this past year, it has been great, you know, at covering the entire team. It's been Jacoby, it's been Jonathan Mobo, Orich, the 905. We've been very diverse with our coverage. I honestly say we've covered Scottie less this year than any other year in the past. This hasn't become all Scottie. But over the last 24 hours to 48 hours, I have been 100% Scottie focused. All my posts, all my videos, everything has been Scottie focused because what is being said is unfair. And it is revisionist, it is wrong, and it will very soon age like milk. All right. All right. I'm gonna talk to y'all later. Have a great one. Enjoy your night. Don't let this bother you guys. Just think about that tankathon, man. All right. Talk to y'all later. Bye.